In the summer of 2017, I made a promise to myself that would completely transform my relationship with my mind. I committed to meditating every single day for continuous 40 days straight. What happened was not what I expected. It was so much more profound that I need time to explain. If you have ever felt like your thoughts control you instead of the other way around, if you have struggled with anxiety, restlessness, or that constant mental chatter that never seems to stop, this is for you. Because what I discovered in those 40 days did not just change my meditation practice, it changed my entire life. Before I dive into the transformation, let me paint you a picture of where I started. Day zero, my mind was what Buddha would call a monkey mind, constantly jumping from one thought to another thought, from one worry to another worry. I tried meditation before, but never consistently. The Bhagavad Gita says, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, the mind will remain the greatest enemy. I was definitely in the second category. My sleep was restless, my focus scattered, and I felt this underlying current of anxiety that I could not shake. But I committed to 40 days because, in so many spiritual traditions, 40 is a sacred number of transformation. Moses, Jesus, Buddha. But this is not going to be a meditation fixed everything overnight story. This is the real deal. Week 1 was brutal. Day 1, I sat down with all this enthusiasm, closed my eyes, and within 30 seconds, my mind was planning my grocery list. Obviously, as I started my 72-hour liquid fast the same day to manage my diabetes. It's well known what we try to stop that comes to mind. I stopped eating, but my mind was thinking about food. Day 2, I lasted maybe 3 minutes before I was convinced I was wasting my time. By day 5, I was questioning everything. Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. And in that first week, I was becoming my resistance, my doubt, my frustration. But here is what nobody tells you. When you start a meditation practice, the resistance is not a bug, it's a feature. Your mind is literally rewiring itself and it is fighting back. Day 6, I sat down, set my timer for 10 minutes, and my mind immediately started this internal dialogue. This is pointless. You are not spiritual enough. Real meditators don't struggle like this, and so on. That's when I remembered the Gita. You have a right to your actions, but not to the fruits of your actions. I wasn't meditating to become enlightened overnight. I was meditating to show up consistently, regardless of how it felt. So I made a deal with myself. I did not have to enjoy it. I did not have to be good at it. I just had to do it 10 minutes a day, no matter what. Week 2 is where things started to get interesting, but not in the way I expected. Instead of feeling more peaceful, I actually felt more agitated. Meditation was stirring up all this mental sediment blockages that had been sitting at the bottom of my consciousness. Old worries, unresolved emotions, random memories from childhood, everything was coming up. I spoke to one of my friends who was deep into meditation in panic, thinking I was doing something wrong. He laughed and said, congratulations, your practice is working. He explained that meditation is not about stopping thoughts, it's about changing your relationship with them. The Buddha taught we suffer not because of our thoughts, but because of our attachment to them. This was my first major breakthrough. I started to see my thoughts as clouds passing through the sky of my awareness, rather than storms I had to weather. Day 10 was pivotal. I was sitting there, and this wave of anxiety about work came up. But instead of getting caught in it, I found myself observing it. I literally said to myself, "Oh, there is anxiety. Hello, anxiety." And something magical happened. It started to dissolve. The Gita teaches us about the witness consciousness, the part of us that observes our thoughts and emotions without being consumed by them. For the first time, I tasted what that meant was. Week 3, my friend suggested me to do some pranayam before starting the meditation session. So I did Anulom Vilom session where I brought enough deep breathing into my brain. And after 10 minutes of Anulom Vilom, I felt more calmer and I started performing my meditation session. In this week, I went into deeper waters than I had ever experienced. By day 15, my meditation session had naturally extended from 10 minutes to 20 minutes. Not because I forced it, but because I did not want to stop. I was discovering what the ancient text called the gap between thoughts, moments of pure, silent awareness. But here is what really surprised me: the changes were not just happening on the cushion. I noticed I was responding differently to stress at work. When someone cut me off in traffic, instead of that immediate surge of anger, there was this pause, this space where I could choose my response. Buddha said, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. I was leaving this teaching. Day 18 brought my deepest meditation experience yet. I was sitting in silence when suddenly I felt this profound sense of connection, not just to myself, but to everything. It lasted maybe 30 seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. I understood, not just intellectually, but experientially, what this sacred literature from Vedic Upanishad means when they say, Tat Tvam Asi. I was not separate from life, I was life experiencing itself. But week 3 also brought challenges. Day 20, I had what I can only describe as a spiritual crisis. All this inner work was making me question everything: my relationships, my career, my entire identity. Who was I? I wasn't my thoughts, my worries, my constant mental chatter. The Gita addresses this beautifully. The soul is neither born nor does it die. Only body dies when we are clinically dead. I was discovering the part of me that exists beyond my personality, beyond my story, beyond my fears. Week 4 was integration time. Meditation was not something I did anymore, it was becoming who I was. I started noticing compassion arising naturally in everything I did. When my partner was stressed, instead of getting reactive, I found myself holding space for their experiences. I became more sensitive. I started looking at things from their perspective. When I made mistakes, instead of that harsh inner critique, there was gentleness. Day 30 was profound. I sat down for what I thought would be my usual 20 minutes session, And when I opened my eyes, it was already over 1 hour. But it felt like no time at all. I had touched what the mystics call timeless awareness, the eternal present moment.